Welcome to prehistoric South Africa 2.1 million years ago. The hot sun beats down on a patchy forest where many animals are trying to stay cool. A family of hippos rolls in a pool of muddy water. A dung beetle, one of nature's tiny engineers, builds a hideaway underground. It's a peaceful scene, but not far away. A predator is on the move. A young Megantereon creeps through the tall grass. Usually, he preys on small horses, but today, he's hunting something else, a primate. Through the brush, he creeps toward what looks like a young baboon. The cat moves closer, readying his blade-like fangs, when a squeal echoes through the wood. A monstrous male rushes into the clearing. He's nearly twice the size of modern baboons, and he's not alone. One after another, giant primates burst from the tree line. Megantereon tries to stand his ground. He swipes and snarls, but he's outnumbered and outgunned. Fists pound against his torso, and teeth slash into his legs. Bleeding and bruised, Megantereon flees the scene. As he runs, the primates holler and screech at the top of their lungs. Mess with their troop, and you'll have blood to pay. Not many monkeys could fight off a saber-toothed cat, but these are no ordinary monkeys. Their name is Dinopithecus, a giant and terrifying relative of modern baboons. And after protecting their young female, the troop is on high alert. They're carving through the forest like guerrilla soldiers. Huge males sweep the flanks, their giant teeth dripping with saliva. Scouts climb trees and boulders, ready to sound the alarm at any moment. And at the front is the troop leader. Let's call him Greg. At 60 kilograms, Greg is the largest male in the troop and the highest ranking too. This means he gets first pick of food, shade, and mating partners. But getting to the top was not easy. Greg had to fight his way up the ranks, and he carries the evidence with him. A giant scar runs across his muzzle. His 6-centimeter canines are dulled from years of warfare. But those wounds only prove his power. When he slams his fists and bares his fangs, the whole world seems to cower in fear. But today, even Greg is anxious. See, his troop is in the middle of moving. Just over the hill is a haven full of fruit trees and shady alcoves. A perfect new home for his 3 young daughters and the rest of the clan. There's only one problem. Standing in their way is a muddy river infested with gigantic predators. With no other way across, the troop gathers near the water's edge. The afternoon sun glints off algae-covered rocks. Dragonflies hover around pools of mud, their translucent wings beating like tiny drums. Greg is the first one into the water. He scans the shallows for any sign of movement. Ripples race across the surface as minnows and frogs splash near the bank. It's nothing out of the ordinary, but something doesn't feel right. He turns to warn the rest of his troop, but it's already too late. A violent splash of water erupts from the river shallows. It's a monstrous 6-meter crocodile. Its jaws snap open and closed with 16,000 newtons of force. The females and juveniles rush toward the shore as Greg screeches and bares his teeth. Other males throw sticks and fist-sized stones. Over and over, they pelt the giant crocodile until it shrinks back into the shallows. Somehow, the primates escape with their lives. But they won't be crossing this river again anytime soon. It's nearly dusk when Greg and his troop finally reach their destination, a thick forest along the water. One of the few left in the area, its gentle stream weaves through a maze of tree roots and shrubbery. Moths and mosquitoes flutter in the twilight, and an elephant shrew pokes its head out of a hidden burrow. But the primates are not interested in these little animals. Instead, they're trying to find a place to sleep. Bounding from ledge to ledge, they scale a ragged cliff face. Like baboons, they prefer to sleep in high places, such as caves and rocky ridges. These sleeping sites are not the most comfortable, but they provide a tactical advantage. Anything that wants to attack them must strike from below. However, there's one exception, and it's watching them from the upper canopy. An African crowned eagle flaps its giant wings. Its lethal beak clicks at the promise of prey. These giant raptors don't prey on large adult primates, but their babies. That's a different story. They often watch from the canopy, waiting for young primates to wander away from their parents. That's when they would strike. At over 100 kilometers per hour, they can dive on their prey, snatching them in their talons and carrying them off for good. Tonight, the adults are keeping watch, so the raptor holds back. But its piercing call echoes through the air, a chilling reminder that it's always watching, whether you see it or not. Despite the eagle's menacing stare, the troop manages to get some sleep. They wake in the morning, hungry for some real food. Yesterday, they ate some snacks on the road, but today, the whole forest is on the menu. Some scale the trunks of trees, plucking wild figs and waterberries from low-hanging branches. Others forage for nuts, seeds, and pods that have fallen on the forest floor. While his friends forage for plants, a young male spots a fallen log in the distance. He knows exactly what's inside. A colony of protein-packed termites, and he's got them all to himself. As he stuffs his face with insects, he notices something ominous beyond the tree line. It's another Dinopithecus, but not a member of his tribe. At almost 65 kilograms, he's even larger than Greg. And his troop, about 40 strong, is heading this way. The young male scrambles to his feet. He rushes back to Greg, barking frantically to alert him of the danger on the horizon. With only minutes to prepare, Greg calls back the rest of the troop. They just settled in this forest, and he has no intention of giving it up, even if that means fighting his own kind. The two troops converge on the fringes of the forest. Only a narrow corridor of golden grasses stands between them. They're so close to each other, yet neither troop rushes into battle. Instead, males on both sides bark, growl, and flash their fangs. Some fake charges and taunt their opponents. The enemy leader tries to back Greg down, hoping to scare him with his size. But Greg holds his ground. If the enemy wants a battle, it's a battle he's going to get. Just as tensions reach their boiling point, Mother Nature intervenes. Black clouds swell overhead. A rough wind tears through the forest, breaking branches and scattering leaves. On its own, a storm is nothing to worry about. But in the dry biomes of prehistoric South Africa, a storm can spiral out of control. And today is no different. A rogue bolt of lightning strikes an aging tree. As it crashes to the ground, sparks fall onto a dry bed of shrubs. Within minutes, the wind whips these sparks into a fast-moving wildfire. In a panic, the two troops of primates scatter in every direction. The fallen tree separated Greg from his troop. Under normal circumstances, they would never leave his side, but the fear and chaos muddy their instincts. Without their leader, the troop flees into the forest as the lone Greg scurries toward the hills. When the storm finally subsides, Greg finds himself a long way from home. He's not in the lush gallery forest anymore. Now, golden grasses stretch 4 kilometers in every direction. Beams of light poke through the clouds, like spotlights shining from the heavens. Suddenly, he catches the scent of a dead animal. Up ahead, an ancient striped horse lies gutted in the grass, left by a larger carnivore like a saber-toothed cat. But that's not all he sees. Huddled around the carcass are 3 small figures. Their hands are busy with stone flakes, cutting meat from the bone. Dinopithecus doesn't recognize these strange primates, but we know them very well. They're your ancestors, early members of the human tribe. Against Greg, they don't put up much of a fight. One guttural bark and the hominins start running away. But the gravity of this encounter hangs in the air. A rare moment when Dinopithecus and our ancient relatives fatefully crossed paths. Greg slowly approaches the dead horse and scans carefully for more predators. He's dealt with killers before, including a leopard that took the life of his brothers many years ago. This time, fortunately, no one's here but Greg. With a belly full of meat, he makes his final quest home. He searches for a sign, a landmark, anything that might guide him back to the forest. That's when he sees it circling overhead. An African crowned eagle, the very same predator he saw peering at him in the fading light of dusk. With the bird as his beacon, Greg finds his way back to the gallery forest, to the cliffside cave, and to his family. Greg and his troop will go on to dominate this forest for generations. However, in the grand scheme of evolution, their dynasty was coming to an end. Soon, these rare giants would vanish from our planet completely. But the image of these savage monkeys battling across ancient Africa, that will always remain the stuff of nightmares.